Stand back.
Check 1, 2.
No, it should be good. We got it pretty dialed in now.
Our first one, we used a phone on a gimbal, and then the gimbal fell asleep, and it was like, no.
7 years total in prison.
Bombastic side eye.
Oh,
Yeah, and it
my
was a good
God.
one too because it was with the.
It was with the henning, so it was
henning,
all the homeless people.
Oh, great. That's a good one.
Yeah,
And it was such a good conversation.
I know.
Well, to figure out where they're putting the money that they're being given is
Yeah,
it's good to know.
making sure I don't
sweep.
have a lot of-
Right?
All right, everybody, welcome to Real Alaska Podcast. I'm here with my trusty sidekick co-host,
Billy, welcome.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, guys.
and first off, who are you?
My name is
Who are you
Kaedyn. Yeah, I guess that's probably important. My name's Kaedyn Jennings. I own Snip Clip Alaska. We're a trusted lawn care and snow care provider, I guess.
AKA sanding this winter.
Yeah, sanding. No snow. We had a little bit last night in the valley, but
Did you?
Yeah. Did you guys just get rain?
Yeah, we didn't get anything here.
We got like little pieces of hail kind of looking
Yeah.
at stuff in the
Yeah.
equator.
Yeah.
Like the weather app was like, 3 inches in Anchorage. I was like, yeah, let's go. No,
Yeah, we got nothing.
not happening. I feel so bad. It's like,
Yeah, it's been terrible.
yeah.
Right.
What a year to buy a plow truck.
Yeah, a lousy year. Hey, the poles could have switched on the Earth, and maybe we're gonna have like forever winter.
Could happen.
Yeah.
I sure hope not. I'm moving. If we have for forever winter.
Well, it'd like switch. So like,
So this would be the place to be if that happened
True.
Yeah.
Just
because
yeah.
it'd be all tropical.
I'm okay with just flip flops and whatnot, dude.
yeah,
I can sell houses just wearing polos and shorts all year.
yeah. That's
I'm
a win.
down.
Palm trees. We need some palm trees here. It'd be perfect.
Dude, that'd be wild.
Well, I think
Yeah.
they import a lot of them, and some of like the places where you see historically that have them, they import them to there.
Oh,
It's interesting.
not a native tree, huh?
Anyways, we have digressed already.
Yeah, there's a
Like
lot of
immediately, we got Kaedyn's name and business. We have talked nothing about what he actually does in the first 3 minutes. So we do this historically.
Yeah.
Right? We find rabbit holes and then we kind of like burrow just to the next rabbit hole. We don't ever really pop up. You know?
Yeah,
Like,
I sense a lot of ADHD in the room.
yeah. So let's burrow over to at least like a functional rabbit hole of at least like tell people how long you've been in business, how you
Yeah.
got started. You know, like they probably see your baby face. Are like, all right,
Yeah,
what's
they-
this kid's story? You know what I mean? So
Fair question.
It makes it hard
Yeah.
to get commercial contracts. But so I actually started Snip Clip Lawn Care. That was the first name, the first rendition 2 years ago. I guess it would have been in the wintertime when I kind of was like, I was working at a tire shop in the valley. I was like, man, I'm sick and tired of this like $10 an hour crap, you know? So me and my buddy, several years before that, actually wrote on a piece of paper, and the buddy is the employee right now, which is cool. We wrote on a piece of paper, Snip Clip Lawn Care, and I came up with the name, and then we actually did a pricing structure of figuring out like how many lawns can I do in a day, and that's kind of where it originated. I still have that paper.
Nice.
So
Good
it's,
for you, man.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's in a binder. It's just tucked away. So I just started with lawn care. I actually didn't even really think about the snow care world at all when I first started, and now I've found out that that's kind of the biggest part of my business, actually. But so yeah, we started 3 years ago. The story is pretty interesting. Many of my friends and colleagues know that my parents did not support me whatsoever.
and like being like an entrepreneur or business person.
That and more, but they didn't support. I lived with my parents, and it's kind of an interesting story. So I asked them. I was 17 years old. I wanted my PFD, and I wanted to buy a lawnmower with that. So I went to my parents. I was like, "Hey, like I've never gotten my PFD. I'm 17 now. Like, could I get my PFD?" And they were like, "No." And so I kind of did some more like pushing, and I told them what I wanted to buy, and they're like, "Absolutely not." They're like, "If we were gonna do it, it'd have to be something for your future." So
It's funny how that worked out, right?
yeah, exactly, right? So, I lied, and I was like, I was in a welding class at Colony High School.
Sure.
I was like, I want to buy a welder. And they were like, cool, here's your check.
Right.
So they gave me my PFD, and I actually showed up within the same week with a lawnmower. They were
So pissed.
Yeah, they didn't talk to me for probably 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah, it was actually a pretty normal thing in my household to come home and not talk. Like everybody
Interesting.
go to their. It was a really bad dynamic.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot about this. I'm in therapy now. It's good, but I've learned a lot about it, and so yeah, they gave me my PFD.
Yeah.
I had a boat that one of these times, I always kind of go off on a whim at some point in the year and just am like, I'm going to use my whole paycheck and buy something.
Yeah.
So I bought a little ski boat for like lakes.
Yeah.
And I sold it to my uncle. My uncle has been like my biggest supporter through this whole thing. I sold it to my uncle, which is my mom's actual brother. And when I sold it to him, it was like $2,000 he gave me for it. And I was like, deal. I never had the intention to buy it back. I was just like, I just want to get rid of this thing. I want to start my business.
Yeah.
So I took the money from him and my PFD. That bought me the lawnmower. Then I was like, oh, shoot.
Must be like a riding, like zero turn?
Yeah. So my first one was a zero turn.
Okay.
It was when they were like actually cheap. It was like $5,000.
Yeah.
And honestly, that was probably the worst mower I could have used. Not because it was a zero turn, it was just like the bottom of the barrel on the commercial side of lawnmowers. So I wasn't able to do a lot with it. Like I was cutting a lot of residential lawns. I took on some commercial work and just found out like this thing sucks in the rain. I want to be able to mow in the rain.
Right.
So anyways, yeah, so I took that money, bought the lawnmower, and then I needed to get a trailer. I didn't really think about that. I was like, oh,
How
shoot.
do I get this to the site now?
Yeah, I'm not putting this in my truck. And so I took a loan from my same uncle.
Yep.
He gave me $2,000 at 0% interest for as long as I needed.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in a good position then, and he was just like, here, man, like, do your thing. I want to see you succeed. And so I took that, and from a family friend, I bought a little 12-foot open utility trailer.
Yep.
And that was it. Didn't have straps. I had a weed whacker, and I needed a leaf blower. And so my Colony High School welding teacher's friend, who is actually the other teacher there, they teach, auto, like small engines. They gave me this brand new leaf blower out of the box.
That's cool.
Just gave it to me.
Yeah.
And so that was my setup for the entire year. I didn't spend a dime. I paid back my uncle in the first month.
That's cool.
Yeah. And I bought my boat back the second month.
Very cool.
So I still have that boat. I still have my mower, my trailer. I have all that. Kind of just humble beginnings with it.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't think I'd be where I am today. I kind of thought like it was kind of just an immediate, okay, I know I could make like $10,000 a month doing this.
Right.
And so that's kind of the way I got into it. And then I had a meeting the following year after I'd started doing lawn care. Met with a guy. His name's Cameron Hogate. He owns a company called Gravel Boss. He was kind of like the snow king in the valley.
Right.
He had a lot of big contracts. He knew a lot of people. And I saw him on Facebook. And I actually just messaged him, like cold messaged him one day and was like, hey, man, I'm starting this business. Could we talk? He was like, yeah, absolutely. So we grabbed lunch. I actually started asking him all about lawn care. He's like, dude, I know nothing about lawn care.
Yeah.
So then that conversation kind of ventured into, hey, man, you should start plowing snow, is what he told me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah, there's winter. What
Yeah.
else?
Yeah. Full year operations. Yeah.
So what am I going to do? And so, so I kind of set my sights on, all right, I need to get a plow truck. I need to do something else in the winter. So I guess this would have been like maybe third month of the summer when I had chatted with him. And so kind of I set my sights on this plow truck. I was still living with my parents at the time. They were gracious enough to house me. I was only 17, and I was just kind of doing my thing.
Yeah.
And I remember one day I came home. I was so excited. I think it would have been my second month.
Yeah.
I came home from work, and I like opened my Stripe account, and I had like $21,000 in there. And I was like, that was that month. I made that much. I did fertilizer. I was like hustling, like selling.
Yeah.
So I went to my parents and I showed them that. And they were like, oh, that's just temporary. You're not going to see that ever.
Right.
And I was like, what do you mean? Like, that was more than they make combined in 2 or 3 months.
Right.
So they kind of just didn't believe it. They didn't they couldn't make sense of it in their head. They have a different thought process. Stepdad's military. My mom was military.
Right.
And now she works a customer service job. And so, not to bash my parents, but they could not comprehend that was a thing.
Right.
And I was just by myself. I worked 2 days a week my first year.
Nice.
And I was doing that. It's pretty cool.
Cool.
Anyways, so yeah, I was living with my parents. And then throughout that year, I turned 18, August 9th. And my parents came to me and they were like, hey, you got a month. Figure it out. Go somewhere else. I was like, okay, cool. So kind of went into panic mode. And I was like, all right, well, I need to get a plow truck. Now I have to move out. And I was in this mindset of like, man, I don't want to rent from somebody. I don't know. It was kind of this weird thing I was in. I was like, I don't want to rent. I'm just throwing away money. And so I went out and bought a camper. Yeah, I bought a big 44-foot fifth wheel camper.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My grandma was wonderful enough to co-sign on that loan for me. And my kind of thought process was like, yeah, I'll own it. I'll be able to resell it and I'll be fine.
Yep.
So that's what I lived in that following winter. I bought my truck. I bought it in Texas and drove it up.
Yep.
There weren't trucks available up here. I don't know if you remember. I guess it would have been.
Yeah. 22.
Yep.
Yeah, there was nothing to be
Nothing,
had.
dude.
It was so hard to get vehicles in that following year even.
Anything big.
Yeah.
Like 2,500, 3,500. It was
Yep.
like, we have one on the lot.
It's
And
150,000. Who
yeah.
wants it?
What color do you like? Like when I bought my Ram,
Yeah.
it was like, do you want maroon or maroon or maroon? Because we have one maroon 2,500. And I was like, guess I want maroon.
Yeah, I guess that's what
Like,
I'm rolling in.
And I was like, so what are you guys doing for discounts off MSRP? They're like, nothing.
Nothing.
Like we're actually adding.
Yeah, they're like,
Yeah.
because if you don't pay for it, somebody will come in later today or tomorrow and buy that truck.
Right.
And I was
Exactly.
like,
Well,
you got me by the balls. You know?
It was crazy.
So,
yeah.
well, think
I had
about
put
it.
in an order for a custom vehicle and it was like never came. They would call me like every couple months and try to offer me something different.
right.
I'm like, that's not what's on my spec sheet. Why are you bothering me with that?
Right.
And then, 18 months later, I'm like, I want my refundable. I want my money back.
Yep.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
that's actually what happened with me. So I guess I'm really bad at going in order on stories. I
It's
kind of
okay, man. Like I said, rabbit hole,
Yeah.
go to the next rabbit hole. We don't really ever surface. So,
Right. So if I go chronologically about this, right? I talked to the guy about getting a plow. My birthday rolled around. Parents told me to kick rocks.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I got to figure this out. And then within 2 weeks, I had bought a truck. So I bought the truck in Texas.
Yep.
And drove that up. And then I was like, all right, now I have like a week. I got to get out of my parents' house because it was like September by then. So I was like, all right, buying a camper. And I just kind of made the moves happen. So I had, boom, $200,000 in debt, just like that. But serviceable, like
right.
totally serviceable with what I had going on. And then I was like, man, I've never ever plowed snow before. I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. I bought this truck, and so went out and bought a plow. I bought that in cash. My philosophy with like equipment and stuff has been like, if it's equipment, buy it in cash. Truck or trailers or mowers or any of the other little stuff.
Small stuff, yeah.
Yeah, buy that in cash. Trucks, I could finance.
Right.
That's been my philosophy. And so yeah, I bought my plow. I got my list of customers going on. And I was actually going to do everything per push.
Right.
Because one thing you've seen about my business, I guess nobody else really knows about it. So we do subscription snow management. So flat rate price every month.
Yep.
For 7 months. And if you break it down, on average, not a year like this, on average, you're paying like $40 to $50 per plow if you have like an average small residential driveway.
Right.
So it's $175 a month. Divide that by 4, it's $40 a plow.
Right.
I don't
Which
know.
is like way better. Half.
Literally half.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know any other plow guy that is insured and has a business license that will come out to your property and do a per push plow for less than $80.
Yeah. It's about 80, 90 bucks.
Yeah.
For push. If it's commercial, or
Right?
250 to 450.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
And
like for like small commercial.
Right. It just depends on the property.
Yeah.
And so, so I kind of came into that market of I want this to be affordable for people.
Right.
I want to bring people to the market that have never paid for snow plowing before, that are just sick and tired of it. Because like, I think a lot of people can afford $175 a month.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's reasonable. For us, it makes sense because we can do 80 driveways, I can do 90 or 100, but like an employee can do 75 to 80 driveways in a night, which is like a 10-hour period.
Right.
So we can like rock and roll. But anyways, so yeah, I came into the market with that. Initially, I was going to do per push. And then I talked to that same guy, Cameron Hogate, and he was like, dude, do not do per push. You're going to either lose money or you're going to make a bunch of money, but either way, it could be really bad for you. And I was like, okay, so what do you suggest I do instead? And he was like, well, we've always, for our commercial clients, because he didn't really do a ton of residential.
Right.
He always, he was just like, yeah, we just do like a contract. Yeah. And so it's this amount for the season divided by this many months. And he did 6-month contracts. I wanted it 7 because it brought the rate down. So we're averaging it out between 24 and 30 plows divided over 7 months. So it brings your rate down, basically. Initially, that's how I did it too, there was a limit on plows. So it was like you could only get 24 plows in the year, and then you'd have to pay per push, but it would be $40.
Right.
So you'd get the discount. And then I kind of thought about it after this last year, and I was like, is it really ever going to snow more than 30 times in a year? Not usually.
Sometimes it snows too.
Right. Yeah, apparently. Absolutely.
So this year your margins were better then, right, on those subscriptions?
Yeah, so that's one thing. We can get into that too about how that all works.
But that's how gyms work, right?
Yeah.
Gyms are like, I'm like, most, it's like 90% of their people that pay for a gym membership don't go to the gym.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so it's, Planet Fitness is like, that's their key
$30
business
a
model.
month for everybody.
You know what's crazy about them is you actually have to go in person to cancel your membership.
Yeah.
You do.
And so, like, say you move to Seattle, and you were like, "Hey, I want to cancel my membership in Alaska." You have to come back to Alaska to cancel it in person.
You have to come to your home gym, they call it.
Yeah, you got to go to your
home
home gym.
Unless you're military.
Maybe
Yeah.
in the that. There's probably
Yeah.
a clause.
There's
But
a-
for normal folks, they
There's
don't care
federal law.
about. They're like, "Oh, we'll just continue to charge you if you're cool with it."
Right. Some people will just cut their card. I'll get a new card.
Yeah.
That's
It's wild, but yeah, I had emailed them like 12 months ago, and I kept seeing I saw this charge. I was like, "Bro, I sent you a thing 12 months ago." He's like, "Oh, you have to come back to the home gym."
Yep.
Well, 3 times 12, I mean, you're paying $360 a year for a Planet Fitness membership, and
Right.
most people don't use it.
100%.
Like,
Yep.
most people are like, I'm going to go to the gym. This is a good idea.
Like, it makes a great model for them.
Yeah.
You know?
100%.
You got 10% of the people using 90% of the facility.
Yep.
Anyways, see?
Yeah, it's
Gopher,
Rabbit
rabbit hole.
But
You're onto
Continue
something.
on.
You're onto something with that.
that is how it works, though, right? You know, it's like the difference, though, is people use our subscription. So the cool part about it is it's automatic. So, like, a lot of people just have to call the plow guy. Like, oh, we know Chuck down the street. Let me call Chuck and see if he's got time to come over
Yep.
here. Well, you wake up at 6 a.m. and your driveway's already done because it snowed yesterday. And, you know, we just did it for you.
Right.
It's done. You don't have to
Yeah.
worry about it. And so this year we went to unlimited. We're just going to cover people's snow because based off of my budgeting skills, we pay our employees' salary. So we're not paying out any more money if it snows a ton more. It costs us the same. Our truck payments are the same. Our insurance is the same. Our shop payments the same. So if we can kind of just structure it around, this is the monthly cost. Here's our monthly expenses. We can afford this. Here's our profit.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So anyways, I don't even know where I was going with that. But
Subscription base,
yeah, I mean, that's
unlimited plows now.
that's how I got to the business I'm in now, right? Where it's like our business is a set in stone business. I would say 3 years, you're like legit now, I guess.
Yeah.
Or a real business, as they would say. And so, yeah, it's worked really well for us. I love my business. It just, I feel like it makes sense. When I explain it to people, they're like, oh, yeah, okay, $175. Yeah, that makes sense. And then on the lawn care side of things, it's pretty similar. So this year we're actually coming out with a new service, which is called our Simple Solution.
I like
And
that.
so, yeah, I think it's a great name. So we have a Simple Solution Basic Pro Plus, or Plus Pro, sorry. Basic Plus Pro. Can't keep track of my own things. So, you know, the basic starts at $212 a month, and it's a 12-month contract.
Right.
So even though we have 5 weeks and 1 month throughout the year, my normal customers for mowing, on the mowing side of things, in July, is it July? What month has an extra week? I don't remember.
I don't know.
What? Yeah, it has an extra few
July's
days
31
in it.
days.
Yeah, well, so like, because we bill on the first of the month for that month.
Right.
And so our customers on the week or on the month where it overlaps, where there's half of a week and half of a week,
Yep.
they're getting billed for that whole amount.
Right.
So they're getting billed for 5 weeks. So with a simple solution, it's just this price every month all year.
Right.
So if you have an average half-acre residential property with an average driveway, it's $212 a month, and you get snow care, lawn care, everything taken care of for you. That doesn't come with any like fertilizer or anything like that. And then you go up the plans and you get more. So the middle plan has shoveling, so we're going to start shoveling walkways. We're going to have salaried shovelers, so they're on call no matter what, just like our plow drivers. And then the highest tier is everything. You get spring cleanup, fall cleanup, fertilizer, aeration, all of the above.
Right.
So that's a new service of ours. But the way we did it before was just your regular weekly mowing, and then you just pay for your add-ons if you want them. So like we do 3 rounds of fertilizer. It's usually beginning, middle, and end of the seasons. So most people would just pay out of pocket for those. Whereas with the simple solution like Pro Plan, you get all that into your monthly plan. So you're financing it.
Right.
And it makes sense for us because we have so many people that sign up for that plan, and it's like, here's how much we have. We can afford to buy all these materials on these months that we have to.
Makes sense.
So, I think the business model is interesting because the summer side of it, right? Like the winter, there's no issues with plowing or anything. Like we're just going to be there no matter what. It's not like we have to cancel because it's snowing, right? So in the summertime, a lot of lawn care guys, they cancel just because, hey, it's raining. We're not coming.
Right.
And now your lawn doesn't get mowed for 7 days for 7 days more than, you know.
And then they charge you by the bag to get rid of it or whatever. Like some of those are pretty interesting setup.
Yeah, well, and some of them are charging like $10 a bag. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a lot.
We don't bag grass either. That's one of the things that I'm thinking about integrating because we've figured out a way that we can do it cost effectively.
Just mulch it?
Yeah, we just mulch everything. So like all the properties we maintained for you, we just mulched them. And honestly, I've seen a difference. A lot of people that do just mow their grass and bag their grass that have switched to using us, when we mulch for them, I've seen an actual difference in their grass.
Well, because especially when you fertilize, the top parts of grass have the fertilizer built into them. When you mulch it, it re-fertilizes the grass.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're bagging it, you're throwing out all that fertilizer.
Throwing out all the good stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And
So-
the lawn just kind of eats itself.
It does.
The only
Yeah.
thing with that is
You gotta aerate.
Yeah, you got to aerate, and also you got to dethatch every 5 years,
Yeah.
I'd say. Most people over thatch their lawn. They do it too often. Like, there's no point.
It's supposed to be a grass mat there, you know? So
Yeah.
I don't think people know how to maintain them.
Yeah, so you need
Helps
like
keep the weeds down too.
you need 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of thatch layer just to protect your soil. So if you don't do that, I'm pretty sure the problem is your soil gets dry quicker. The sun will just beam through your grass onto the soil, and now you have dry soil, your grass just starts to yellow out and die.
Right.
So
Makes sense.
there's a lot of things with lawns people don't think about. Like
There's a lot.
It's an in-depth process
Yeah.
to take care of your lawn, and most people are like, I just cut the grass. Most people, that works. You know, it gets the job done. Their grass is probably going to live for as long as they live in their house, and when they leave, you know, the next guy, if they're a lawn guy, they'll take care of it. But with us, like my kind of goal was just like, hey, we want to take care of people's stuff without them having to worry about it for a flat monthly.
Yeah.
Like, this is just how much it costs.
Okay, question. Highly controversial.
Okay.
What brand of fertilizer do you like?
Alaska Mill and Feed.
Oh,
So
okay.
I kind of pride myself on
Yep.
local.
Yep.
I love our local businesses, and so
I like
like
feed. They're good.
they're good. They produce products in Alaska for Alaska.
Yep.
It's kind of a win-win.
Yeah. So, and of course, most people don't realize that there you have a spring fertilizer, you have a midsummer fertilizer,
Yep.
and you have a fall fertilizer.
Yep.
It's like, you know, go to Costco or Lowe's and pick up the standard
Whatever
regular
they have
bag,
there.
whatever they have, and not
Yeah.
realizing that like they're set up for success, you know, for like your grass coming back.
Yep.
Mid-year, and then the fall fertilizer is just meant to last through the winter.
100%.
Right.
So actually, most people don't even know what's in fertilizer. It's 3 parts: nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, NPK they call it. And so you see formulations on, you know, sometimes you'll see a 22-11-11 or a 16-16, or I think they even do 31-1. It's kind of weird.
yeah.
They do a bunch of weird numbers, but we stick to 2 types of fertilizer and then 1 weed and feed. So we do a 22-11-11. That's the beginning of the year. So you're putting 22% is it 22% or 22 parts? I'm not sure how it works. The 22 number is the amount. And
Science.
so, yeah, nitrogen. So you're putting a crap ton of nitrogen into your lawn. And so you're going to get a really good, you're going to snap your fingers and it's going to green up like crazy.
Yeah.
So you have a really bright green lawn. And as long as you water your grass, it should stay like that. You can typically get away with just one. Like if you fertilize once and you're like not the biggest lawn person, I just recommend people do it at least once a year, please. Like it's just it's bad for your grass. It's like, not feeding your kids.
Right.
Right? So
Not as terrible of an outcome.
not as bad. CVS doesn't get involved. I might show up at your door with a hanger though. But yeah, so people don't know the differences between the two. And then you have a triple 16. Triple 16 is pretty much like middle of the road. It's 16 parts of everything. And so it works perfect for most of the year. But I really if you like a green lawn, 22-11-11 at the beginning of the year, right around the end of May, it's perfect.
We have like lawn wars in my neighborhood.
Really?
Dude, there's some neighborhoods like
I take it serious, bro. I take it serious.
Yeah, I do
I
too.
buy my fertilizer the year before, and I'm like putting stuff in, beginning of summer, and then at the end, I don't do a middle. Like I'll do like a feed or whatever, like weed and feed in the middle, because that's kind of when I start to see that stuff pop up. So, but now it's so thick that I don't even get weeds really.
100%. Yeah, no, that's one thing people don't think about either is a healthy lawn will literally just keep weeds out.
Yeah.
Because so if you cut at the right height, which I prefer like 3.25 inches, our mowers have settings on them like that. Most people just see the mower that's got like their push mower's got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Right.
And they're like, I don't fucking know. I don't know what that means. We're just gonna see what happens.
Yep.
But like 3.5 inches is like the perfect middle ground for most people, because some people like the golf course lawn, but don't want to spend golf course money.
Yep.
And some people are like, I don't care about my lawn.
Yeah.
So cut it at like 3.5 inches. You'll keep most of the weeds out of your lawn, like point blank period. A healthy lawn is like, if you just keep it thick, keep it watered, you'll keep all the weeds out.
I went down this rabbit hole for like a solid 2 weeks on TikTok where I was watching these lawn people, and they were golf course lawn maintenance guys.
Yep.
And you see them with the residential lawns, and they've got the dump truck drops off all the sand, and they're like
Grade it
perfectly
out.
leveling it out, and then just showing like the before, like during and after, because it looks like shit with all the
100%.
sand on it, right? It's like, oh my God. You see little spicks of like lawn sticking up, and they show it like as it's growing through and how perfect it comes out. I was like, I'm old.
Watching videos about
Watching
growing grass.
videos about lawns.
Right.
I was like, damn it, I'm now that guy, dude. Dude.
I embrace it. There's a guy in my neighborhood. He's got like a hat, like a sun hat and his whole thing. And he gets all geared up and he's got his all PP&E out there. He's like getting after it.
Heck yeah.
I'm into it.
Yeah, no, like it's actually kind of fun. Like my love for lawn mowing, I wouldn't say love, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Is putting on headphones,
Yep.
jamming out the tunes or listening to a Rogan podcast,
Yep.
and just like going for it. Like that's the best part. But
Yeah.
here's the deal: like we're not your lawn company that's like we want like this pristine, like we need this golf course looking lawn. Like I like to say we're a middle of the road.
Right.
We like to maintain your lawn. We like to do it on time, and we like to do it right. And
Right.
that's what we care about.
I mean, for the pricing, like you can't expect a golf course lawn.
Right.
Right. Like,
We have like
you need like a landscaper at that point.
right.
You
If you want to spend the money with us for us to be able to cut your lawn really short, like you pretty much just have to be sure you're fertilizing your lawn, and you have to be the guy that's out there watering it.
Yeah.
People don't do that. Like I don't have 20, 30 minutes every day to move my sprinkler every 10 minutes.
Right. The great part has been Mother Nature has taken care of the water issue for the last few years.
Oh, yeah.
Like almost too much. So we actually ended up with like a moss issue.
Yeah.
In some of the lawns just because it's been so wet.
Yep.
Well,
So the crazy thing about moss is you literally have to. So Mill and Feed actually makes a product for it. I think it's just called the Moss Pro, and you have to sprinkle it on the moss. The moss will then, after about a week, turn black. You have to rake it up, and then you have to reseed the area.
yeah, it takes over all the grass.
Yeah,
It's like blank spots.
just kills it.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
Anyways.
It's expensive too. It's
Yeah.
like a bag of seed from them, I think $300.
It's good seed too.
Oh, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
It is good stuff. It smells you pick up the bag, it's like this huge sack, and you're like, this
Yeah.
bag's going to be heavy as hell. You pick it up, it's like carrying a small baby. It weighs nothing.
Yeah.
And it smells amazing.
Does it have all the fertilizer and all like the paper stuff built into it, or is
So their seed is just seed. It's just seed. They expect you to put it all together.
do all the stuff? Okay.
You know, that is something they should offer though. I know they offer a dirt mix that has seed in it and fertilizer, but they don't
Like for a patch.
Yeah, but they don't offer
patch stuff.
Yeah, they just came out with it last year, and it's called like the. I don't even know what they call it. It's like a lawn. It's not a lawn mix. It's something else. I don't know.
I used some of it on the
Irrelevant.
end of my driveway last year. Cause like,
Was it good?
Yeah, because like, you know how you sometimes when you, in the winter, you cut the corner off of the drive.
Yeah.
So at the end of the year, you get a little dirt patch down there. I was like,
Yeah.
So then I got some of that stuff, smothered it in there, and it was like 2 weeks grass.
Wow,
Oh, that's kind of cool.
you just have to water
I have
it.
to do that.
And it's at the end of the sprinkler too, so I have to like, you know what I mean?
Right? Yeah.
You have to pay attention to make sure to get that corner.
100%.
Take out the sprinkler, put on the nozzle, just the little rain.
You try to get it
little
go
rain
farther. You
mixture,
didn't give it the.
Well, so like most people.
Calm down, John Wick.
Let the dog in. Most people overwater their grass.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like you only need to water your grass for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like a section of your grass, the sprinkler should only be on it for 10 minutes. Most people are like leaving that shit out there for hours.
I've done that.
I've done that.
Only because I forgot I was on.
Yeah.
And then people don't realize that you're not supposed to water midday during
Yeah.
peak sun.
You're supposed to water
because it evaporates
Early morning.
early morning or in the evening.
Yeah. Well, and like, I don't even know where I was going to go with that. Like most people, it's just grass.
Right.
Like it's just grass. So we have had issues ourselves where, you know, either my employees cut corners and they're like, we're not weed whacking today. And I get a call and, you know, customers like, hey man, like they didn't weed whack at all. They didn't even start it. I never heard it. And we're like, oh gosh. So I have to call my employee and send him back to go weed whack a property.
Yeah.
But a lot of people also don't understand, like, it is just a lawn. Our expectation of our employees is to weed whack and do all this stuff every week. But like when plowing, we've messed up people's lawns and they're like freak out. And we're like, hey, like we have money set aside to fix these things, like, and it's just grass.
Right.
It is not your life.
Yeah.
Not to, you know, tout the way they feel or anything, but like, it's just grass.
Yeah.
That's like one of my favorite slogans. It's just grass. Like
It'll grow back.
It will grow back.
Yeah. Easy.
Yeah.
Sprinkle a little crack on it.
Little lawn mix stuff. And yeah, you're good to go.
I love Dave Chappelle. Just sprinkle a little crack on it. Obviously, that's not what you're doing,
No.
but I took the opportunity.
That's awesome.
Okay, well, the subscription model's awesome. Obviously, you have that figured out. Super smart. What is like? Obviously, you did a shit ton of sanding this year.
Yeah.
We talked about this already.
Yeah.
So did you have to buy like a sanding truck just specifically for this year? Like how did?
Yeah. So my big spend this last season, like I said, I have a big spend all the time. So I bought 2 trucks. It was like the end of the season. I spent like $40,000 in a month, which is more than we make. I just had money set aside for it. So I bought a 2006 Ford F-350, and that is it's a dually, and it's a 6.0 power stroke. I love that truck. Put like $5,000 into it worth of work, and it runs great. And then we bought a sander. And sanders cost more than people think. Like the box itself, $10,000.
Yeah. They're not cheap, man.
No.
Like, if you want a solid sander setup, it's like 20 G's.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely.
And the maintenance on them, because you're spreading dirt.
Yeah, the maintenance, really, you just, as long as you grease your sander, you're good.
Yeah.
But
Keep the chute clean.
wash it out. Yeah,
Yeah.
keep the chute clean. Otherwise, you'll just start wearing on parts a lot faster. But, like, we bought a sander truck, and I'm gracious enough that my grandpa, who lives way out on Church Road in the valley, he's got 20 acres out there. And so I was able to haul, I think we hauled 65 tons of gravel out there. Believe it or not, 65 tons is not that expensive, though. We spent $1,600.
Dang.
Yeah.
Well, because a dump truck is what? You're doing 10 tons of gravel?
Well, so we did it with our
yards.
our dump trailers. So,
dump trailers. Oh,
yeah.
okay. Gotcha.
That's a lot of back and forth. by the
Yeah,
way.
so we
Because
hauled
the trucking is where it gets expensive. It's not the product.
exactly, yeah. And so we hauled 35 yards using dump trailers. Me and my buddy,
okay.
2 dump trailers,
Yeah,
9
that's where it
hours.
is. Okay.
Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah.
My battery died in the middle. I had to go buy a new battery for my dump trailer. But anyways, we hauled all that out there, and the cool thing is, like, with sanding, the margin is crazy. I'm the guy, I will share numbers with anybody.
Yeah.
And so, like, that sand pile cost us $1,600. I still have half of the sand pile. We've done $12,000 worth of sanding this year so far. And that's, like, I think we've only sanded 15, 20 times maybe.
Yeah.
And that's not all of our customers. You know, it's
Right.
usually a short list of, like, 10, 15, maybe 20 people and businesses.
Right.
And so, like, the margin on sand is pretty crazy, but you also factor in fuel, time. If I was paying a guy to do it, this is how much I'd have to charge.
Of course. Insurance.
Yeah.
All this stuff.
I don't mind jumping.
Maintenance.
Exactly. I don't mind jumping in the sand truck and blasting, rock and just cranking sand dials all day.
Yeah.
But if I paid my employee to do that, it gets more expensive.
Of course.
So, but yeah, no, the margin on what we do is actually pretty insane. Again, you're paying for most customers don't realize, you're paying for labor, insurance, you're paying for the shop, you're paying for the.
Yeah. I called, when we got our plow truck, I called State Farm.
Okay.
Because that's who we have for all of our auto and whatnot.
Right.
And I was like, hey, I need to get plow insurance. And they're like, well, actually, this year we dropped all plow insurance.
They dropped it.
Yeah. And the reason being was because last year, their claim, so the percentage of claims paid out on their plow insurance, right, was 76% of all claims
Whoa, that seems high.
were paid out
Holy cow.
because plow operators kept hitting shit.
Yeah, they're negligent.
Whether it was buildings or cars or whatever while plowing,
Right.
and of course insurance comes in and has to pay the bill, right? And they're like, we just can't afford to have policies where 76% of the policies pay.
Yeah.
Right?
That's ridiculous.
It's a losing game for us.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. why
And
they would have
so,
that.
then you call around, you're like, oh my God, this is expensive.
Yeah. So, like, if I ran the number right now, you guys manage how many properties?
So one big commercial building, and then 34 additional properties. So we're at 45, 46 currently, and then
Okay, so let's do your 46, and let's just call the commercial building 5 residential properties,
Yeah.
right? Just to be fair. So it's 51 total properties. Multiply that. We're probably going to charge $75. You'd pay out $3,800 just in sanding for
Yeah.
a one-time sand. And
Yep.
people don't understand, like, on the commercial side, we manage a couple buildings that are like sanding every time, because when you plow, like, say it
Yeah.
snows, you plow the sand, you just push all of it away with the snow.
Yep.
So now you got to sand again.
Yep.
And it's kind of the name of the game. A lot of people want to do salt, but
Yep.
I looked into salt. Salt is $400 a ton.
Yep, it's not cheap.
Yeah, I made a video about it. I got the number wrong. I thought it was like $80 a ton.
Yeah.
No, it's 400.
Have you looked at? I know a lot of the big Fred Meyers, all that.
Yep.
They
Those
do,
are managed by JGM Services.
Yeah.
And I'm meeting with the owner of JGM here soon. But
they don't do salt. They do
brine.
glycol.
Yeah.
Brine.
So it's a brine. I don't even think it's not glycol. Usually it's literally a salt water mix. So I think it's
Yeah.
50-50.
So that's a good way to if it's $500 or $800 a ton, just
And
spread
it
that out.
sprays.
Yeah. Well, so the cool part about that is they do that before the storm because it pre-melts the snow. And so
Right. Easier to plow.
Exactly. When they come to plow, the underlayer is water, so it's a
Right.
slush.
Yep.
And then they come in with their big, John Deere loaders and push
Yep.
all this stuff.
Yep.
So they literally just have a flat, clear, like a brand new driveway, basically,
Right.
worth of surface.
Yeah. It's because slip and falls is expansive.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
And then they sand right behind it.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's not a cheap game. Like, I've been looking at getting into a loader this next year, and I kind of threw that plan in the trash.
Well, dude, a loader is real expensive.
Yeah,
And
so-
somebody has to be an operator.
Yep. Well,
Right?
no, you don't have to have any special license for it, but you do have to the insurance side of it,
Oh, yeah.
and
yeah.
also just the loader itself. So, like, if I was going to buy a loader, I'd either buy a cat or a case, and they're both expensive. Case is like 30% cheaper. So
Right.
like a $300,000 cat or a cat loader, which is like 30,000 pounds. A 30,000 pound case loader is like 225.
Right.
But either way, they all
Still $250,000 plus.
yeah. I mean, and I could get that finance, but your payment, they all do 0% 3-year financing. That's kind of your only option with that. You have to go through the dealer. Like most banks, they just don't like to deal with the hassle.
Yeah.
And so I looked into it, and I'd be looking at like a $10,000, $12,000, $13,000 a month payment.
Right.
That's the total of our current expense every month right now.
What about picking up one at like a Ritchie Brothers auction or something like that? Reduced cost?
The problem with that is, if we're making promises to our commercial clients, we're basically, I guess, if that were to break down, we're going to break our promise to our clients.
Fair enough.
So,
Yeah.
And then no option to finance, I guess. That would have to be cash.
Through Ritchie Bros?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't even think they do financing.
Yeah. You can always do a line of credit.
Yeah.
Commercial line of credit.
That's an option.
And then use that to buy whatever you want.
Yeah, that's true.
I've had clients who bought, they established a commercial line of credit, and then they did longer terms, right?
Yeah.
Like a 5 or 10 year term on that line of credit.
Yeah.
And then they went out and bought their dump truck.
That's
and
the way
all
to do
that.
it.
Yeah. Versus that 3 year.
Well, and so like
a little more feasible.
Yeah, and for me, like in the position I'm in right now, like we're paying off both of our plow trucks this year. We're gonna have 0 debt by the end of the year.
Yeah.
And so I think our plan really is gonna be we're gonna buy another new plow truck in cash, and then I was saying earlier I bought 2 trucks. The second truck I bought is a 2002 Chevy 2500. I bought it for $7,000. It has 90,000 miles on it.
Oh, nice. That's
Yeah.
a good find.
Yeah, it was.
For an 07.
Yeah, it was a steal. So,
It's like a grandpa truck.
yeah, it is.
Like
That's
homie had it for 20 plus years, barely
Right.
drove it,
Only drove for the
washed it
5 years and then
Every
had it in
day.
his garage.
It's never had salt on it. Like
Right.
it's just been
Yeah,
sitting
yeah.
at home. So I'm gonna have my uncle paint it. It's red right now. I'm gonna have my uncle paint it, and we're gonna do white just like all of our other trucks.
Yep.
Put some stickers on it and put a big ass plow on it and ship it. That will run that next year, and I'll have the capital set aside that if that breaks down, which we're just gonna hope it doesn't,
Yep.
I'll have the capital set aside where we'll just buy another new truck on top of the one we'd already buy.
Gotcha.
So part of me hates letting stuff sit.
Yep.
I actually had this conversation yesterday with my friend Robbie, who owns RC Detail. Like, I hate junk. And so if I'm not using it, I'll just throw it away. I've thrown away so much stuff that I probably shouldn't have thrown away that people could actually use. But I
Yeah.
just clutter and junk
Yeah.
bothers me.
Yeah.
I grew up, as a kid, I grew up with my parents for the first couple of years. And as you guys now know, I didn't really just have the best relationship with them. And so my mom got shipped off to Iraq. We went and lived with my aunt, me and my brother, and I think my oldest brother was young enough. I think he went with us. We all lived with our aunt, and my mom got back, and we kind of just didn't go back. It's kind of a weird story.
Yeah.
We just pretty much lived with our aunt. We went to the school in the district my parents were in because I grew up in Anchorage. So I went to Kincaid.
Yep.
My aunt lives on 72nd Avenue over there. So, and Elmore, way over there.
Yeah.
So we grew up with our aunt, and I don't know, in 2016, for some reason, my mom decided that, hey, we're gonna go to court and say that she's abusing our kids, and we're gonna take our kids back, basically, just out of nowhere. Kind of a random thing. Apparently, my aunt had filed for our PFD. It all pertains to money. But anyways, so that's when we had to go live with our parents, and then that kind of relationship just kept going downhill. But I don't even know where I was going with that. Rabbit holes.
Well, I mean, like I said, gopher into a gopher hole.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Right.
it is a part of my story. I think it's kind
Well,
of.
I think it.
It's definitely a part of your story.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
know, Billy and I have had this conversation multiple times, right? And dude, it's like a phoenix rising from the ashes.
Right.
We find that most of the people that come on who are true successful, entrepreneurs, dude, it's not like life handed them these businesses or whatever else.
Not at all.
It was, you've been through some shit to get to that point, right? And then you have to really embrace the suck, right? And understand. And then really what it comes down to is being comfortable and the uncomfortable.
So your
Yeah.
ability to suffer.
Yeah. So like your
Absolutely.
ability to
There's
take
a silver
on
lining for
shit.
that.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Helps you navigate being a successful entrepreneur.
100%.
Because running a business can be shit.
It can be brutal.
Brutal, man.
Yeah, I
People
mean-
treat you terrible. People will yell at you, right? You have to have thick skin, right?
Yes.
And the better you get, the bigger you get, the more haters you're going to have, right?
Absolutely.
And people who don't even know you are going to talk so much shit.
Yep.
And so you got to have thick skin, man. Like, and so, you know,
You got to be not afraid to fail too, and I think there's some element. of that.
100%.
Right.
So it's like, even though that probably was terrible, right? It's also kind of helped define your ability to kind of take on what you're doing currently, right?
Yeah,
And
no.
So it's like, man, that sucked, but also thank you.
Right.
You know,
100%. I would not be where I am today without any of that happening.
Yeah.
I think if that didn't happen, I'd probably be some normal kid working at a damn McDonald's.
Right?
Yeah.
'Cause you would have had no real pressure.
Right. Exactly.
You know?
I mean, I think living kind of the final 5 years with my parents, like basically alone. Like we didn't really have much of a relationship.
Right.
Every night we did not talk. There was no family dinners. It was
Right,
like
right.
figure it out. Do your own shit because it's not important to us.
Right.
And so for me, I think the final 4 years, my high school years of just kind of being in my room alone,
Yeah.
thinking,
Yeah.
like, what do I really want out of life? And I kind of looked at all of my peers and their parents, and I was like, well, I don't want to work for somebody.
Yeah.
Like that was kind of my main thing, and I really didn't care what it was. Like I had looked into drop shipping, I had looked into doing YouTube and live streaming,
Standard.
yeah,
All the things my son wants to do currently.
right, yeah.
I was like, Dad, I want to be a YouTube star.
And that's good. There's a
good,
place
though.
for all that stuff, and but at the same time, it's hard to find labor now.
100%. So that's actually a conversation that me and my buddy Robbie are planning on talking about in our future podcast.
Right.
Is like I have had the most luck with labor. I put out a hiring ad 4 weeks ago. The first guy that applied was like perfect candidate.
That's awesome, man.
I
Yeah.
think part of that on the business side of things comes with like when you put out a hiring ad, if
Yep.
you put $20 an hour in your hiring ad, $20 an hour people who value themselves at $20 an hour are going to apply for that. You know, if you have people in the construction field making $50, $60, $70 an hour, they're not applying for your $20 an hour job.
No.
They don't want it.
Yep.
And so I think that's one of the benefits to my business. I saw a lot of my competitors, we all do it around the same time, right? We need to hire for the
course.
summer.
Yep.
A lot of my competitors put out ads for, $16 an hour, $17 an hour. And I've heard it firsthand, just the quality of people coming in. It's like, no. And we put out our hiring ad, we're like starting $30 an hour.
Yeah.
And, that's the other interesting thing too, another topic, the way that you pay your employees. So like we do something a little bit interesting. So we pay our employees based on scheduled hours. So if we schedule, I guess I could give you a literal example for it. Like an average residential property, a half-acre property should take them 30 minutes to do, like of booked time.
Right.
And so what's the math on that? In a 10-hour day, they can do 20 residential properties. So we will pay them for 20 residential properties, and they'll do 20 residential properties. But if it takes, and that's 10 hours worth of pay, if it takes them 6 hours and we don't get any complaints and there's no issues, they don't have to go back, they get paid for that 10 hours.
Yeah.
I have never been a fan of hourly, and I don't know how. I guess I'd like to hear your perspectives on that, because like if I went to a job, and it's kind of industry specific, right? You have to be in a job that's like there's a certain amount of production you can do in a day, right? If you work at McDonald's, it's different because that is literally just an hourly job no matter what.
Yeah.
But if you work at, let's say, a tire shop, and because I worked at a tire shop, like if my brain kind of did this thing where I was like, how much would I pay people if I owned a tire shop?
Right.
Well, I'd want to pay the crew of 2 people doing a car. I'd pay them, okay, they should be able to get a car in and out in 20 minutes. All right. Pay them 3 cars an hour, basically. And they should be able to work 8 hours a day. So 3 times 8 times whatever their hourly is, I feel like that's more encouraging for an employee. What do you think?
No, I mean, so all of our people are per job, right, or salaried. And the reason being is because people, like our business is based on commission,
Yep.
right?
Real team.
And completing things, right? Completing projects.
Yeah.
Right. So if I'm paying someone hourly, right, I want them to be efficient with their time. I also don't want them to just sit there and take 14 hours to do something just because they're getting paid hourly.
What's like
Exactly.
where are you putting your incentives?
So,
Right.
Are we incentivizing production or are we incentivizing hours?
Correct.
100%.
And it really depends on your industry. Like I
Yeah.
think that's the main thing is like, okay, if you work at McDonald's and you
100%.
cook burgers, right?
Yeah.
You're just cooking burgers for 8 hours.
Right.
Doesn't matter how much you do. But if you are working at an auto shop, right? They're charging per job,
Yep.
but they're paying you hourly.
Right. It's a service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I was told, okay, well, you can get paid per car, like without an hourly, right? You can just get paid per car as long as you do quality work and they don't come back. You get your full pay.
Yeah.
I'd be like busting my ass to,
Yeah, 100%,
to do
man.
that.
And it
Yeah.
puts you more in control of your finances because then if you have an emergency, you can put in that time.
Right. Well, and as a business, you have to think too, like right now, all the other plow companies, most of them, I have a couple of buddies that I've talked to that I've convinced to start paying their employees like this. But most of the other plow companies that I see are paying $30 an hour and you only get paid when you work. They don't have employees this year.
Right.
Because they haven't been able to give them enough work, probably keep them around.
Absolutely. And, they might come back next year, but you don't have a reliable employee. And if you're guaranteeing your customers that you will be there within 24 hours,
Right.
you have to have that
You
on.
have to have employees.
Yeah. And they have to be on call. Like,
Yeah.
you can't just find people.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Now, and like obviously, hotel front desk staff, like they're not project based, right?
Right.
Like you have to pay them hourly because you have to have someone there sitting
yep.
24 hours a day, like
And some people aren't driven
Yeah.
in the same way, too. Right?
Exactly.
Everybody's different. And
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Work ethic is definitely one of those things that's going to be a determining factor on that.
yep.
I would get frustrated working, like when I worked at restaurants and stuff, I felt like I was working a lot harder for that same pay,
Yeah.
and was my experience with hourly jobs, and so I was just over it.
Right. Well, and so like right now, I think a lot of the kids, I go to my local McDonald's, and so a lot of the kids that I went to high school with
Yeah.
are working at the McDonald's, the Wendy's, the Fred Meyers, and so I see them there, and I've had conversations with them about this and been like, all right, let's in an imaginary world where you wanted to do what I
Yeah.
do, if I paid you this way, does that sound better than what you get, like how it works now? So if I paid
Yeah.
you the same amount,
Yeah.
but yeah,
But it's what's funny is you'll be like, hey, you can do this at $30 an hour. And then it'll be like, I like my job, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to kind of just chill out here at 14.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm good.
well, yeah, like
The demand's low, responsibility's low.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Some people like that, and then when you go home, you don't have to worry about anything.
100%,
But
yeah,
you smell like cheeseburgers.
yeah.
Right.
But the thing is also, there's something for everybody, right?
yep,
And when you're like in lawn care and you're by yourself mowing, you have to be somewhat self-motivated and self-accountable.
yeah,
That's
Right.
the big piece, I think.
absolutely.
And so not everybody has that, man. Like, to be fair, and we see this a lot all the time on the agent side, is, dude, self-accountability is rare.
It's hard.
It's tough.
Well,
and
it's-
common sense.
Well, it's mastering
Yeah.
your own self, and I think that you're right.
Right.
yeah.
Well, so
It's tough.
self accountability, I mean, you have to be willing to say, I was wrong.
Yep.
Right. And so, like, when I was solo mowing, like, believe it or not,
Yeah.
I had people that called me that were like, hey, you messed up. You need to come back and fix this. And I had to say, oh, gosh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be right there.
Yep.
I'll make sure to come fix this. And so, being able to do that is really hard for people, but also on the flip side, I guess as a learning point to just people in general, right? If you can be accountable,
100%.
your life will just be easy. Like it might in the moment be like, oh shoot, I
Sucks.
messed up. Yeah, or in the learning process of being accountable, it sucks, right? Because you have to be like, man, yeah, I fucked up.
It sucks to suck.
Yeah,
You're like, God, this is an uncomfortable feeling,
yeah,
But
but
this sucks. But
there's value in that,
100%.
right?
That's where the lessons are usually.
And people find value in it.
Yeah.
Right? They don't want to call and be like, and hear a bunch of excuses.
Right.
You know, of why you couldn't do this or that. You're like, you know what? You're 100% right. Like, let me go over there, take a look, and if it's not correct, we'll get it done.
Right. Well, and it's okay to give a reason, but when you start rambling them off, then it just becomes excuses, right? So like if you called me, I was doing a cost of rentals property, right? And let's just say, hey, like your employee didn't do this. I'd be like, all right, what can I do to make this right? We'll make sure to go over there. We're going to check it out for you. And then I will take care of it, or whoever I send there, you know, it'll get taken care of. We'll make sure it's right. And so I think that's a big business strength, but I also think that's just a general world, like people strength. If you can be accountable in your industry and whatever you do, I think you're going to just succeed more, right?
Yeah.
Like you'll go further than anybody else. Like people see that and are like, wow, that guy's honest.
100%.
Well, those are the people that are learning and making adjustments too.
Right.
So they're going to survive. And it just makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so like a hard part for me this year, and we kind of talked about this before we started the show, but you know, it hasn't snowed this year, and I have customers that are tied into 7-month contracts, and so you know, I had to send out an email, and it basically read, "We're not canceling contracts this year. This is we have an agreement. It's for 7 months, and it is unlimited. So whether it snows or it doesn't snow, and part of me has to take accountability, saying like, all right, well, this is the agreement that we have,
right?
So we're going to stick to it. On the flip side, there's also like the heart in it of like, man, I feel bad, but if I don't continue my contracts, we're not going to stay in business,
Right.
I mean, people don't understand that, but it's like we have expenses just like everybody else, and customers already had this build into their year,
Right.
It's kind of one of those things. And so like I feel bad for my customers, right? Because it didn't snow. But then again, they didn't lose anything.
Right.
Unless they think about it, if they were paying somebody per push, sure.
But they also pay a lot more per push.
Exactly.
You know, so you're like, hey, if I go and if it snows 10 times in a month, like I'm not billing you anything extra, right? If it snows less, doesn't matter. Like it's the same price no matter what.
Exactly. And we'll be there every time, no matter what. You're not getting billed more in a month.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other side of it, like my goal in business is long-term relationships. I think that's everybody's goal.
100%.
And so, we have a bad year like this, but say next year it dumps, or like last year it dumped, and the year before it dumped. So you have, 2 continuous years of dumping. It actually averages out. Mm-hmm. And so people don't understand that. Not that people don't understand that, I guess, but like a lot of people just don't think about that part of it. Right.
Well, they're thinking about the right now.
Yeah. Right.
They're like, what am I paying right this second? Hasn't snowed.
What could I use it
3
for
months?
instead?
100%. Right. It's like,
Well, I mean, they paid for clear sidewalks, and the sidewalks are clear.
and a clear driveway. But
You got what you
it's
paid
true,
for, right?
but- yeah. I mean, luckily, Mother Nature's done most of the work, right? But at the same time, it's like, well, if it snowed a ton, like we're not going to charge you extra. Right?
Exactly.
So
yeah, well, and I think that's the perspective. I actually talked with, before I sent out that email, I talked with a bunch of my business owner friends that are in different industries and said, hey, what do you think about this? Because first of all, I'm new in business. I would like to say I know shit, but I don't.
Yep.
So, if I
humbling.
Yeah.
It's good to be humble like that.
Yeah, well, and a lot of those businesses are the ones that are paying me to do this
Right.
service. And so, and some of them are in, better financial positions, worse financial positions. But either way, they've told me, you are in an agreement. And if you start breaking those agreements by letting people cancel, that's just going to continue.
snowball.
Right. And then in the following year,
You like that pun? I like that pun.
I caught that. Right. It will snowball.
Snow.
But, that on that part of it, it's like
Yeah.
if you let people start to do that, that becomes your business, right? It's almost like the businesses that are always giving out discounts. Mm-hmm. Now you're just a discount business.
Everything's always on sale.
Yeah.
Right.
You're the Dollar General of your space, right?
Yeah.
And so that's one thing I've talked about in the auto space with my friend who does auto work. It's like, why would you give out a discount all the time? Like, be valuable. Apple doesn't give discounts on their iPhones. They don't. Verizon does. AT&T does.
Yeah.
But Apple
Just to hold your service.
Exactly.
Right.
They're paying for it on the back end. Somebody's
Right.
paying for it. The phones are getting, Apple's getting their $12.99.
Right.
So when you become a discount service, you're just you start to be a lower value service.
Right.
No matter what you offer. I mean, you could offer gold toilets and, if you are a discount service, you now just become, oh, they have gold toilets, but they're cheap.
Right. Now they're like, there's there's a ton of like actual sales psychology attached to that.
Yes.
Billy and I've actually had this conversation numerous times.
Often, yeah.
Yeah.
There's any kind of delivery process, there's that, right? And you want to do that expectation and image management.
Right. Well, you know who's the best at it? Amazon.
Oh, 100%.
100%.
Yeah.
If they screw it up, they just give you your money back, and they're like, here you go, fix it. But they uphold their end of the contract 100% of the time.
Billy's got this like twinkle in his eye, and he's like thanking. I can't tell if it's like about his last Amazon purchase or if it's like
No,
something.
I hardly ever ordered anything.
Amazon gets you in trouble, man.
Oh, we order stuff all there all the time.
Scroll all night.
There's constantly boxes on my porch, but it's never me that ordered it.
Yeah, it's the wife.
I don't think you're alone in this, Billy.
I think this is a lot of people.
Yeah.
What do we get?
Yeah, 100%. I was like, no, it doesn't have my name on it.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing about Amazon is like it's infinite. It's like TikTok. You can infinitely scroll. Like, what do I need? I do this on Walmart. I do a lot of just like phone Walmart orders because it's, first of all, it's free.
Yeah.
Second of all, like in my normal day to day, like I'm not responding to people's texts. I'm just busy doing whatever I'm focused on for that day.
Yeah.
And so like the girlfriend will text me and be like, hey, what are we doing for dinner? I'm like, I don't know. Put it in the app. Tell me when to order it.
That's awesome.
I'll even cook it. I don't care. But just put it in the app. But then I find myself, right, I go to check out and it's like, wait, is there anything else? And then you scroll through and you're like, yeah, I do need a jug of milk. And oh, man, that candy looks really good.
Yep.
Those add-ons, like, yeah.
I know.
That'll
Gets
get
you
you.
every time, man.
But Amazon's the same way.
Yep.
Scroll through that sucker and it's like, wait, do you want this too? And you're like,
I use their sales process as an example a lot.
Right.
It's like you go in there and you don't close out your cart, and then they send you that email. And
Yeah.
then
Hey,
the follow-up.
You missed something.
Right. Well, so everybody caught on to that. Any sort of online business caught on to
Yeah,
that.
now they do all do that.
Every single one.
Right.
Yeah.
They won't let you open a cart without putting your email in
Yeah.
because they want to be able to.
Yeah.
follow
They
up.
want to follow the sales process.
And
100%.
they've got, yeah, well, and actually, I think that's one of the biggest things. And if you can do a personal follow up with people, like in my space, right, it's all like most people are used to their lawn care guy that's like, oh, I know Johnny. He's came here every year and he talks to me and has a conversation with me. We try to not be that business, but on the back end office side, we try to be personable.
Right.
So like, hey, John, how are you doing today? I just wanted to make sure we're doing monthly check-ins this year.
Right.
Like that's one of the services that I'm like,
Yeah.
that'd be cool to offer to people. Like, hey,
Right.
John, is there anything we could fix?
Yeah.
Because you've probably dealt with silent customers in the realty side of things, right? Where like they're like, man, like this house, I don't like this part about it, or this
Yeah.
needs to get fixed, but they won't say anything to you about it. And then on the back end, they're like,
Yeah. We see it a lot more on the vacation rental side,
oh yeah,
right? Like we just had a guest check out after like 12 days, and they're like, hey, by the way, the dishwasher and the garbage disposal didn't work. And I was like,
dude,
You could have called. I would have.
I was like, and then they come to find out, it was just like the breaker got tripped, so it just killed that whole circuit. And it was like, we could have just been in there and had it figured out in 5 minutes, and you could have had a working garbage disposal and dishwasher. But
The
like,
whole time.
the whole time, but we didn't know about it
Yeah.
until they sent us a message 3 days after checking out, and I'm like, so it's been like this for 15 days.
right?
And I was like, and I noticed like I don't know if it was like they stuck something down there and it tripped it or what something happened, right?
Yeah.
So
Either way,
I
simple
was like,
fix.
hey, like, so, our response back is like, I'm so sorry, like that. Yeah. I was like, let us check it out, blah, 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 blah. I was like, in the future, I was like, we want to make sure your stay is great. I was like, you can always tell us of something that's going on.
Right.
If like something's wrong during your stay or not working properly, like we're going to fix it immediately. Like we can come in and fix it for
Yeah,
you.
make it
So,
right
like,
every time.
Yeah. Especially if you have 12 days stay, like,
You paid for those amenities.
yeah,
wanna
like
make
100%,
Sure you can enjoy
like,
them. Yeah.
Hey, the nice part about that is if you don't have a dishwasher, you always have a clean sink.
it's true.
It doesn't pile up.
Yeah.
Because you run out of dishes quicker,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously with that, they didn't have a working dishwasher because, the whole circuit was blown. But
Yeah.
simple fix. But at the same time, like it could have been, an easy resolution that, versus
It's
them
the
having to
unheard,
hand
unheard
wash.
objection.
Right.
yeah.
Unheard objections. Yeah. That's
We get that a lot, especially in like reviews. Well, they don't even say anything. They'll just say, "Oh, by the way, this was an issue," and you're like, "We had no idea." You know?
Right.
But then you're always going to have those people who are just, you know, it's easier for them to voice their stuff in an online format because they're not confronting you or messaging you, right?
Right.
So there's a ton of like non-confrontational people, and that's like their only avenue of being like somewhat confrontational.
Absolutely.
Right?
Well, and I
get that.
I think some of them too, you know, on the other side of it, they just either they don't have the time or they don't want to talk to you. And like I've had customers that just stay silent until the end of the year. And when I do my end of the year, like the way it's worked for the last, you know, 2.5, 3 years is like at the end of the year, hey, do you want to sign up for snow service? How was our lawn care service? Right. And I've learned a lot of things through that process. Like people like, hey, like if you had done this way, it would have worked better for me, whatever it may have been.
Right.
And so I've learned from that, like if we do a monthly check-in with people, some people are going to hate us because they're going to be annoyed. Why you call me every month? Okay, we'll take you off the list for calling you, but we just want to make sure our service is top tier. Like,
Well, ensure you're happy,
yeah,
right? Like
we're at your
hey,
house every week.
Yeah.
for the
like,
summer.
I want to ensure that the last 4 times we've been on your property, that nothing's popped up, right?
Yeah. Like, did
So-
something break? Because we're more than happy to fix it. Like,
Right.
that's what we have insurance for. That's why, like, just let us know.
Yeah.
But that's like the customer-client relationship. On the employee side, you've probably experienced this a time or two. Employees not wanting to, like, mention things either. Like, you know, hey, this was broken. Or, like, I've gotten into a lawn care trailer and just seen, like, one of our face masks we use for our commercial properties for weed whacking, just torn to shreds. And he's like, I was like, hey, how long?
Yeah.
How
That
long?
happened 3 weeks ago. You're
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, how long has this been broken for? Oh, it's been broken for a month and a half. And you didn't let me know? So you've just been taking rocks to the face?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you just let me know, like the same day, I would have gone to Lowe's by the end of the day and put it in your trailer at night and thrown the other one away.
Right.
Like, it's so much easier. I think my employee, his name's Dylan, he's learned from me that, like, I don't get mad about that stuff.
Right.
It's money. Like, I love money, but I've also I have this way with it where I'm like, you know what? If something broke, you just fix it.
Yeah.
Like, you don't just not say anything, right?
Well, especially when it comes to taking care of your people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then money's a renewable resource, right?
Yeah.
Just make
Like,
more.
Absolutely.
Somebody's eyeballs is not.
Somebody's eyeballs.
You know,
No.
so workers' comp insurance really goes up if it has big claims.
Exactly.
Right? So it's like, dude, like this is not only a liability for you, but also me. So like, let's take care of this, right?
100%.
And if I give you this stuff, right, and our policy is to wear protective equipment, and you fail to do so, realize workers' comp's gonna be like,
Nope.
sorry, man. Like, policy's this. You're supposed to do this. You knew you're supposed to do
You
this.
signed the contract,
Yeah,
employment contract.
Yeah, and didn't fail. You failed to do that. So now, like, sorry, but like,
You're out of luck.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, so like for me, like even if an employee, like I've had my employee come up to me and be like, hey man, I think this is a faster way to do this or a better way to do this.
Right.
Because we have a standard operating procedure on how to mow a lawn. I know it sounds stupid, but like,
No,
if
it's
you-
good.
If you
You should
follow-
have that.
Right. Like, well, to everybody else, it sounds stupid because it's like, well, what? It's cutting grass, right? But if you have a system and procedure that they can do every time
Replicate.
to the T,
Yep.
right? It's trainable
Yep.
and they're going to do it right every time, hopefully. But like, I had him come up to me and be like, hey man, like, I think this would be faster. Can we change this? And I was like, yeah, let's see what happens. And he ended up saving himself, 30 minutes a week, right? Like,
that's substantial.
yeah, I explained to my employee, like, at the beginning of the year when I was training him, I was like, if you can save a minute and a half, if you can save 2 minutes, just to make it an even number, on your 20 properties, what's 2 times 2? Is 40 minutes a day.
Yeah,
Almost an hour. If you just save 2 minutes on every property. So, like, one of the simple things is, like, when you're weed whacking, we weed whack a certain way. But when you get, close enough to an object that needs to be weed whacked in the middle of the yard, you part from your way, you jump around. The weed whacker should basically be running the whole time. Weed whack around this thing, get back to your path, keep going around the yard. And the first part of the year, he was like, why would I do that? That doesn't make any sense. I'll weed whack around the property and then weed whack the things. I was like, okay, try it. I mean, it's your pay, right? You can choose to make
Right.
$60 an hour if you're fast.
right.
So yeah, he tried that and then he was like, that doesn't work. I'm going to do what you
Trial and
said.
error, man. Yeah, yeah.
But
'Cause
you
I've
give
alre-
them some room though, and I think
Yeah.
and I think that's important in any.
Right. Well, and if something works, I will add it to the procedure 100%.
Yeah.
Like, hey, are you going to save yourself time? Let's do it.
It's always good to give them a little bit of latitude for
Yeah.
like, self logic,
Personal growth.
Yeah.
Because I have to assume that there may be a better way.
There's always a better
There's
way,
always a
right?
better way.
Yeah.
100%.
Like,
So show me the light.
no system is perfect. I will
No.
say that. Like,
No.
But there's also a reason why we have it too. And so I think, in that, it sounds like in that circumstance, you proved the why.
right. Yeah. Yeah. And then on the other end, he proved himself like, hey, this other thing I did is faster. Let's do this.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. We're getting close to the end. Have you listened to any of our podcasts before?
Yes.
You know what's coming?
No.
Ha! You never hit the end. No. So we ask every person that comes on here 5 lessons or tips that you've learned
Ooh.
since starting the business and being self-employed, entrepreneurial.
Okay.
Right. So, what would those 5 be for you?
So if you could go back and tell your 17-year-old just getting started self, we'll call it 16 and a half. If
What
you
would
could
I
go-
tell him?
What would you tell him? What were the 5 things?
Shut up. Shut up
Oh.
is a really good one. If you're doing a commercial bid or you're, let's say you're dealing with somebody important that's is wanting to hand you money to do something. Shut up. Listen to what they have to say. Nod your head. Okay, yeah. And then when you're done, go put your proposal together, send it out. Call them once or twice. Ideally, in the first call, you'll have an answer. But if you just shut up and stop like trying to,
Sales them.
yes, most of them want your service. I mean, if they're coming to you, you're already on the list, most
Right.
likely, unless they're just like, we have to get 3 RFPs every year. But if you can just be quiet, listen to what they say, make sure you get the estimate right,
Yeah.
and send it out. They're gonna be like, okay, this guy probably knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Number 2, customer service. This is one that I've known, but for a lot of people, they don't understand. Like, you can never communicate to your customer too much, in my opinion. So like with our, my biggest thing is a software, having a software for it. That would be my next one. But if you have a software, I'll put those 2 together, communication and software. If you have a software that can tell your customers, ours sends them an email the night before. I think it might do a text too. I think it does both. An email and a text the night before that says, hey, we're going to be at your lawn tomorrow. We don't really do times or anything. Just we're going to be there tomorrow. Make sure it's clean and there's no dog poop so you don't get charged fees.
Right.
And then it messages them when we're 15 minutes out. It messages them when the job is complete. And we're going to have it set up so it messages them for a review at the end of every month too. So ideally that same day we're doing our calls, if our monthly customer check-ins, is the same day they're getting a review text. But having a software to stay organized and also communicating with your customers. So my customers, like, to be honest with you, I haven't talked to a lot of my customers. I've never met a bunch of my customers, but the way that they feel is that they're getting communicated to a ton because they're getting all of these notifications.
Right.
And bulk emails is like the best thing in the world. Sending out a bulk email saying, hey, we're going to be plowing tonight. We're going to start here,
Right.
do our commercials, then get back to our residentials and be taken care of. So that would be three of them. Know your value. Know what you're worth. There's been so many times when I've bid out for bigger things because I've wanted to advance kind of the business, right? Like, oh my God, if we get to work with these people, like we're going to be in this awesome position. We're going to know this guy. Nobody gives a shit about that. If you can just make sure to know your value and charge what you're supposed to. Don't underbid yourself because you want to get the contract. If you know that, hey, cutting this lawn is it's going to cost me $150 and I want to make a 50% profit margin, we have to charge them $300 a week. That's it. Like, don't discount your price just because you want this big deal. Be honest with it. I've had contractors businesses that have I've done a bid for, they accepted, and then a few weeks in are like, hey, bring that up. Like, you should be charging us more money. And I'm like, well, this is like this is where I wanted to be. And they're like, no, just charge us this much. Like, they gave me a dollar value.
Interesting.
Charge us this much. We're happy with that. We can
Yeah.
afford that, and we want to make sure the money goes to you.
That's
so,
cool.
yeah, that's a big one. I would say is knowing your worth, knowing your value. Like, just charge what you should. If you have a price that works for a bunch of people, it'll probably work for the next person.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, they probably shouldn't be your
not
customer.
your customer.
Yeah, they're not your customer. Because you have to think, like, I guess I think about it like this, and it's maybe not high class, mid class, it's not that, but it's more of like, you have these businesses, you have these businesses, and you have these businesses.
Right.
And it's like people who want to spend a lot, people who are fine spending in the middle, and people who don't want to spend any money at all.
Right.
So they want to get the best deal. And so, my target customer is that middle.
Right.
We're not the perfect, pristine, amazing, lawn care company. We do have some really good promises, though. And so, like, yeah.
Last one.
5.
Last one.
This one. Make it important. Don't have too much fun. So, like, obviously, we all make money to do things with our money. And I guess I should reiterate it. Don't have too much fun too fast.
Oh, yep.
So, like,
Too much fun too soon is a killer.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, like, I bought a side-by-side last year, and I totaled it within the first month.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I was kind of sad. I had it insured. It was fine. But, like,
Yeah.
I think the position I'm in, I'm already going 1,000,000 miles an hour in
Right.
business. I was
Yeah.
going real fast in the side-by-side, and that, it all goes together. But I think, yeah, we rolled like 40 feet. It was pretty cool.
Jesus.
It was actually fun, and we have it on video. I'll show you the video.
Oh, my God. We're going to have to include that in the podcast video.
I could probably
right at the end.
It's awesome.
It's like, dude.
It's hilarious. I'll send it to you.
That's gonna work. Yeah.
Yeah, don't have too much fun too fast. So,
Right.
like, just, I can't emphasize it enough, but, like, if you just keep reinvesting, and I mean, enjoy your life,
Yep.
right? Like, but don't inflate your lifestyle just
Yep.
because you're inflating your income.
Yep.
Because when you inflate your income, your just business expenses inflate themselves. And
Yep.
so, you inflate that on top of inflating your personal life and trying to be this guy, it doesn't work.
That's the number one reason why pro athletes go broke.
Yeah. Right? $1 million. Oh, hey, we made $18 million before taxes. Let's buy a $10 million house. Oh, we have $2 million left. Shit.
It's just, not not making sure they have savings for when they're not playing pro.
Right.
Or spending all their money they make in a year.
Exactly.
So it's common for these players to go play 5-7 years and then leave, and within 5 years they're all broke.
Yeah.
Like after making $20-30 million, they have nothing to show for it. It's
Nothing.
wild.
Well, so, like,
But so I
yeah,
agree.
for me, like, I bought the side-by-side. That was my first actual fun thing. Like, the boat I've had forever, and I've used it twice. But, like, the side-by-side was, like,
I
my
saw it back to your uncle.
Yeah. yeah, right? The side-by-side was my first fun thing, and I think I abused it, and I just didn't, I was like, whatever, just kind of living life, trying to be like, I want a side-by-side. And so, like, other than that, the only other fun thing I bought was my truck. And then I just recently bought myself a car, and that is, it's a BMW. It's a 340i. I wanted something a little fun,
Yeah.
a little sporty, but also useful because,
Right.
like, I drive a lot.
Yeah.
So I bought my truck that year, 22, and a year later it had 45,000 miles on it.
Yeah, that's a lot driving.
I drive a lot.
It's a lot of driving.
But
A lot of gas, especially on a truck.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I get it.
that's my advice to people. Like, if you follow those steps, you should probably be pretty okay. Take care of your customer. Don't spend more money than you need to. Live very, very frugally at first, and then, hey, when your business is its own wheel turning and you're not answering calls and you're not scheduling customers or doing any of that, then have fun.
Yeah.
So,
No, I agree. It's valuable advice, especially for so young.
yeah, I mean, I've learned my lesson, right? I mean, I've screwed up, and I've thought that, like, oh yeah, this is gonna be cool, man. It was for 2 weeks.
Business has a great way of fastly showing you the ropes.
Well, it's
Right.
interesting that you said too in sales. It's you have to stop trying to tell people what you think they want to hear,
Right.
Yes.
and just listen to what it is they're asking you.
Right.
Yeah.
Give them what they want. And if you can't do it, don't be afraid to tell them, hey, this isn't going to work for us. Like
Right.
we had that conversation, like just
Yeah.
took on this contract, was like, oh gosh, this is more than I thought it was, and I'm not charging enough. And so, don't be afraid that if you can do it, to say, hey, this is how much. And if they say no, you part ways amicably, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of the name of the game. But yeah, don't undersell yourself and don't oversell a customer.
Oh, that's a good one, too. That was a bonus.
Yeah.
Bonus plus
Bonus
Yeah.
6, dude. Kaden's coming in with the freaking.
I should consult.
It's like LeBron over here.
Well, awesome, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming.
Just real quick, just so anybody listening or watching can find you online.
Yeah, snipandclipalaska.com if you want a quote. If you want to learn more about me, our Facebook is the same. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. We got it all.
Nice. And it's the and symbol, or is it the actual
So
and?
our website is and,
Okay.
and then all the socials, either or works.
Gotcha.
Because,
Okay.
socials are smart.
Yep. Well, cool, man. Well, thanks for coming on. Thanks
Yeah.
for joining us and being so flexible. We literally gave him
Like in the
2
Yeah.
hours notice.
I was at Best Buy when I got the text, and I was like, shit, I have an appointment at 12:30. Yeah, fuck it. I'll go.
I love it,
was like,
dude.
I'll cancel the appointment. We're good.
Yes. We won on that one.
Yeah, thanks, guys, for having me.
Yeah, man. Awesome. Thanks for coming on.